good kill.
Hi everyone, this is Jeff of TAOFLEDERMAUS. We got something a little bit different to show you today. We've got the ramshell training and less lethal cartridge. This is essentially a reusable shell that utilizes a nail gun blank to drive less lethal projectiles. And you'll notice how the blank is offset so that the firing pin can strike the rim of the cartridge still. Since the ram sets come in different power levels, this means you can tune the ramshell to drive the projectiles at different velocities, usually from around 400 feet per second for the brown ones up to 900 feet per second using the yellow. Now the ramshell is designed to shoot a wide variety of 68 caliber less lethal projectiles. And this is a small sample of what's out there. There's probably a lot more. And there's projectiles that are simple round balls, Foster Slug looking projectiles. And you could use reballs or even marbles in this thing.
396 feet per second using the lowest power ram set.
Once the shell is fired, you can simply push out the spent blank using a screwdriver. And then it's ready to go again. The inside of the shell is tapered. This allows different types of projectiles to be used. And simply push the projectile in using just thumb pressure. Now if you ram it in there too far, it can bulge the case and make it difficult to load and even cause damage to the shell when you fire it. The ram shells are made in the USA by a very small company, a one-man crew in fact, using some pretty sophisticated machineries. Now since you're using a real shotgun, you can load progressive rounds starting out with the less lethal, and you still have the option of loading more and more lethal stuff like birdshot, buckshot, and slugs. And this is something the less lethal launchers simply can't do. And some of those cost nearly $600. You could buy a 12 gauge for around $200. Well, it's time to head out to the test range and see how the ramshells perform. We're going to start out using the brown number 2 ram sets along with the blue rock hard projectiles. And we're going to shoot at this stainless steel, I think it's something from a restaurant. And I think it's like 18 gauge stainless steel. Let's see what kind of dents these things put into that. That's one.
Okay, we got a respectable little dent there. It's not bad. Let's go to the green and see what that does.
Okay, I'm just going to aim just below that one. Accuracy seems pretty decent.
Okay, there's the brown, and then there's the green. This one's a slightly bit deeper. Let's see what the yellow does.
Shoot just below the other one. Oh, it's got a little bit high.
Let's turn that a little bit. So that was the green, and that was the yellow, considerably deeper. Not too bad. And like I said, it almost shot just a little bit high. I was just aiming down here, but it shot a little bit high. Could have been me. Okay, this might make a good comparison. This is the Mercury Rise Tactical Selection Torpedo Revolver 50 caliber paintball pistol, but it's a lot of people use these for self-defense and stuff.
And then we'll be using a rubber coated steel ball.
Let's see what the black rubber steel does to our some malfunction on that. Wow.
So that's the black rubber ball. Brown, green, and yellow. Yellow wins.
The next test will be using the blue ball projectile with a brown number 2 blank against the ballistic gummy bear. Now this shot we didn't have the most pinpoint accuracy, but more than accurate enough to hit a human-sized home invader. Let's kick it up a notch and see how the green number 3 ram sets perform.
A little louder, a little more impact on that one.
I definitely did better on this shot, and we definitely had more speed. It sounded a lot louder. It sounded like a real gun when you're shooting it. And that would be a very painful impact, even though it doesn't look like it in slow motion.
And then finally the yellow one.
Now again, we got pretty good accuracy on this shot and a lot more power, enough to penetrate the clear ballistic gel. Now that would be very painful even if you're wearing a thick coat. Now I have seen tests using the Burno against someone wearing a leather jacket, and the leather jacket was enough to completely defeat their hard kinetic round.
All right, ready?
Ah! It's an attacker! That's it. Seriously, Burno?
Okay, not too bad. That's a lot of power to drive that big light ball into that gel. It's about an inch deep, 3/4 to an inch deep if I, to the front of the ball. Not too, got a good sight of it there. Not too bad. That's a lot of power. That would have very much hurt. Next we're going to try these prototype aluminum, almost like a Foster slug. See how that works. So again, we just thumb pressure, that's all you need.
Definitely an accurate round, but it was not stable at all. It was flying sideways. And less than lethal, maybe not so much if you're shooting someone in the head.
So we have this, it must be 3D printed. It's super light, a couple grams. Let's see if that even survives. I think it's going to come out in pieces. I have no faith in 3D printed stuff, obviously. I know there's tougher stuff, but I still have no faith in it. Let's see how that does with a yellow blank.
All right, 3D printed, take 2. 3D printed. Yeah, I think it stayed together.
Now that thing was screaming fast, and color me wrong, that thing held together. It also was very stable in flight, and that's pretty good damage for a projectile that only weighs 2 grams. I just weighed it.
Okay, next we have, this is a little copper polymer matrix, kind of another Foster slug made by Grimberg, less lethal. And that fits pretty well in there. Nice tight fit. Again, using the yellow blanks.
That one shot really high. Wow.
Now this projectile weighs in at 6 grams, 3 times the weight of that 3D printed one. And we didn't get very good stability or accuracy on this one, but it would still be very painful.
So we have this rather interesting one. It's a light one, but it has a little rifled kind of a shot or a gas seal or whatever skirt. I guess the best term for that is. How's that fit? That one fits. It's a little loose, but because the shell is tapered, we can still push it down there and get a tight fit.
Oh. Not a good. Seem to have a dud.
See, we have a good primer strike on there.
Oh. That was very inaccurate.
Now, I had high hopes for this one, but As you can see, it just did not perform well. The high-speed camera does not lie. At least we got a nose shot, though.
Okay, now we have some fun rounds. The chili powder and airsoft. And I can't remember which is which. We'll find out, though. Some of them are just airsoft. Some are chili powder with airsoft BBs. The chili powder is kind of a buffer. And we're about 10 feet away.
Okay.
This round contains chili powder and airsoft BBs. Not terribly bad, but I've seen worse.
Oh, we got a lot more airsoft BBs stuck in his face.
This one we had a little better performance. We could see the chili powder reached out a lot further, and I think a lot of that actually hit the head. Now this one is just airsoft BBs, probably 50 of them or something. Behind the airsoft BBs, I put a stack of nitro cards to kind of act like a gas seal or a wad. And if dozens of these things hit you in the face at one time, I guess it would sting a little bit.
Yeah, a surprising amount of them hit. You see some of the chili powder on his face. So some of that junk is going that far. And all it takes is one speck of that to get in your eye and you're going to be decapacitated. You're going to be discombobulated. Okay, let's see what it does to cardboard. That's a better target.
Aiming at the middle of his head.
This is another one with just the airsoft BBs, and that would be very painful if your intruder was only wearing a Speedo. If he was wearing clothes, it probably wouldn't hurt so much, but hey, we had to try it, right?
So, not a lot of power. I remember even a 300 foot per second airsoft gun is going to go right through that. So we got some pock marks in there. It seemed to be coming out at different velocities. Some are going faster than others. But yeah, it was just something I threw together just for fun. Maybe that's not the best self-defense option.
Well, there you have it, the testing of the very unique ramshell self-defense training round. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I just want to remind you to rate the video, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but I also want to know what your thoughts are about these. We'll see you next time.